back, everybody, to the Big Book Roundtable in the RICO 12 family of recovery resources targeted at people from all backgrounds, faiths, and places dealing with addictions and the manifestations of alcoholism of all varieties. RICO 12 is also a resource for the loved ones of addicts. Grateful that we have representatives from all sorts of different places in this spectrum around this roundtable. My name is Justin B. I'm a child of an all-powerful and perfectly loving God and a multidisciplinary addict living in the miraculous one-day-at-a-time recovery promised to us as we strive to practice these principles in all our affairs. I'm joined by David G. and Nikki M., and grateful to have them here around this virtual roundtable as we come to you from all over the country. David, why don't you come off mute and introduce yourself really quick, and we'll move on from there.
Sure. I am David Green. I'm an alcoholic addict of many sorts. I'm living in Oklahoma, in the USA. I've been given a gift of recovery since August 8th, 1994, and just always love being here with you and Miss Nikki. Thank you, Justin.
And thank you, David. Nikki, you're up.
Here I am, and I'm just so grateful. I just love you guys, and I love America. You guys are so good when you just call me Miss Nikki. I love that. Just it makes me feel tingly. Thank you, David. I'm Nikki M, and I guess I'm a happy, tingly addict in this program of recovery, and I'm just real grateful today. I'm gonna, we have a lot of podcasts out, like the Roundtable. We've got the Noodle with Nikki, and Justin. You also do one with I guess it's the speaker meeting, and episode 7 is our Sarah B, and she was a hardcore codependent, one of my first amazing sponsees, and I'm going out with her two sponsees, which are my grand sponsees, and both of them, through working this program, I mean miracles. One even has the baby. I know a lot of ladies out there, you want the baby, work the program, and we're going to go have lunch. So let's record this, and I'm hungry.
Awesome, Nikki. We'll get through this, but we're going to dive in with enough meaning to make it worth everybody's time to listen, but grateful to have you both here. All right, as we do in this podcast, we go line by line through the Big Book. We started at the title page, and we are now up into page 109 in the chapter 2 Wives on chapter 8. And we are continuing in this little mini-series of the 4 categories that the problem with which you struggle usually falls within one of the 4 categories. And we're going to be doing the second category today, which is this first full paragraph on page 109. And I'll just go ahead and get right into it and read it. Follow along with highlighter, pen, paper, marker, whatever. Here we go. 2, your husband is showing lack of control, for he is unable to stay on the water wagon even when he wants to. He often gets entirely out of hand when drinking. He admits this is true, but is positive that he will do better. He's begun to try, with or without your cooperation, various means of moderating or staying dry. Maybe he is beginning to lose his friends. His business may suffer somewhat. He is worried at times, and he is becoming aware that he cannot drink like other people. He sometimes drinks in the morning and through the day also, to hold his nervousness in check. He is remorseful after serious drinking bouts and tells you he wants to stop. But when he gets over the spree, he begins to think once more how he can drink moderately next time. We think this person is in danger. These are the earmarks of a real alcoholic. Perhaps he can still tend to business fairly well. He has by no means ruined everything. As we say to ourselves, he wants to stop. Man, this one just screams at me from my own experience with people that I work with all day, every day. But I want to hear what you guys have to say about it. David, why don't you take us through line by line with your experience, strength, and hope first?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is me all over in like the 2nd grade. I mean, honestly, I was drinking when I was a little bitty guy just to overcome the trauma that was going on in my life. Now, I wasn't a belligerent daily drunk every day, all day, but, I was beginning to drink and show a lot of lack of control, stay on the water wagon, even keywords here, even when he wants to. And there's so many times that people like me and guys like us and ladies like Nikki that, man, we want to stop so bad and we can. I have guys message me every day from across the big pond. David, I cannot stay sexually sober. I'm dying from this, man. Can you please help me? Please help me. And your heart goes out to them because you know that there's a way to stop if they're willing to My suggestion to them during that time is, man, you got to get a corral around that beast at least for some days. And the reason I say that is because of what we learned all the way back in the doctor's opinion. Whenever he said it was imperative that our minds be cleared, as then we had a better chance of understanding and accepting what he had to offer. But he says he gets entirely out of hand when drinking. I can promise you this was me on every single occasion. I never drank alcohol in the latter years of my life to my God, I killed a man and went to prison, for God's sake. So yeah, getting out of hand, that's putting it pretty moderately, actually. So, do I get out of hand? Do I bully people? Do I do the thing? Absolutely, I do. Read Jim's story on page 35 of the book. It said he become so violent. He did no drinking until he was 35. He became so violent when intoxicated that he had to be locked into the asylum. And I can relate with that. The asylum would have been a good place to go, but they put me behind cold steel bars. I can remember waking up with a roll of toilet paper behind my neck as a pillow, in the drunk tank over and over and over and over. And this is just the way that I live my life all the time. And thought, really, oh hell, it's not a big deal. We'll get out of here, and like it says, we'll go do it again. So he admits this is true. See, we know it is true. And remember Jim's story again on page 35. If you have to back up here, I'm not going to talk real long. I know Nikki's hungry and is wanting to go to lunch. So let me drop to the bottom of page 35 for just a minute. If you go down to the last couple of paragraphs, it says more than one time he knew he faced another trip to the asylum. He knew this if he kept on. Moreover, he knew he would lose his family for whom he had deep affection. But look at the next 5 words at the top of page 36. Yet he got drunk again. And this is exactly what we do over and over and over and over. He admits it's true, but he's positive he will do better. And in my mind, I always thought, I will do better. I can stop this one. I won't. No, I can't. He's begun to try with or without your cooperation various means of moderating. In other words, controlling it. I will control my drinking. And that's all chapter 3 was about, to show me the illusion of control that I was trying to live by. Maybe he's beginning to lose his friends. There's no maybe there. Hell, I'd lost them all, what few I did have. Business would suffer somewhat. We've seen that with Jim. We've seen that with Fred. He's worried at times. He's becoming aware he cannot drink like other people. Well, that's a good thing. If I have that kind of an awareness, the book says, that is the earmarks of a spiritual experience. So sometimes he drinks in the morning and through the day. Shit, that was all the time for me to hold his nervousness in check. He is remorseful after serious drinking bouts and tells you he wants to stop. But I think the key for me here is whenever he gets over a spree, this is what always happens. Then I begin to think once more. How? How I can drink moderately one more time. And I will follow that all the way to the graveyard. I know I've done that over and over and over. So, and I've done it sober. So this person is in danger. He does have the earmarks of a real alcoholic. And, like we've said on here many times, you don't have to drink alcohol to suffer from alcoholism. But I do believe that there is something different about the alcoholic than there is the normal man, because once you put that inside of your body and you are absolutely unable to stop for any reason, whatever, and that beast dominates you day after day after day after day, that's not a very good place to be. Sex addicts, all about this because we suffer from that all the time, or did. So he want to stop. A man said that to me at a conference one time. He said, you got to learn to want to stop. And I didn't even know what the hell he was talking about for a lot of years until I read the book, and there it is, So how do I do that? Well, God, give me the willingness. Give me the want to stop. It becomes a prayer. And if I'm not saying that prayer, sex addicts, if you're suffering, if you're listening out here, you want to stop, but you cannot. You want to stop, but you cannot. Turn that into a prayer. God, give me the want to stop. And, for me, it's paid. It's paid in dividends. So thank you, Justin, for letting me share. Good to be here.
Yeah, thank you, David. I appreciate it. Nikki, why don't you take us through line by your experience on this paragraph here?
Thank you, David. I just love I just love our little team. I mean, God is real. When I get here, I realize nothing is missing. Is everybody present in the moment and really obsessed about gratitude? Because if you are, you'll realize you need nothing. Here it is. I'm going to read it from the first person because as David was talking, this is me currently, okay? Nikki, I'm showing lack of control. Everybody, if you're out here, I'm going to read this in present tense, what happens on a daily reprieve, because I have an ongoing dispute with my neighbors, and the boys know this. And we've been recording for years, and it's going to be years more. This is going right. So I have this ongoing resentment. We are in a court battle, legal battle, and I'm showing lack of control. These people called the bylaw officer on me. I'm unable to stay on the water wagon. What is that? Free from my need to be right, free from getting ignorant when I see them, because I can get real ignorant. Okay. I get loud and I do weird things. I don't even know if I need to say it, but I do. Like they start filming me, and I'm like, you want to see something filmed? And in Canada, it's legal to be topless anywhere. And I'll start stripping like a 2-year-old and start throwing myself on the ground even when I want to. I didn't want to argue with these people. Nikki often gets entirely 100% out of hand when thinking. See, then I started thinking, what does the bylaw officer want? Why did this happen? Why me? Why are they starting to get petty again? Oh, that's right, Nikki, you got petty. There you go. Nikki admits this is true, okay? Because I get entirely out of hand when obsessing about my need to be right. How the hell am I going to get these people? What's the court going to be like? And then I get real weird. And I admit it's true. Nikki, you're out of hand. You're a monster. I'm armed with the facts about myself. This is why I said no. You cannot come on my property to do your renovations, because I'm armed with the facts that I'm crazy. Okay. And then it says, but I'm positive that I'll do better. Okay, this has happened just a couple months ago. I'm not going to react like that. What did I do 2 days ago? Got nuts again. And the weather's nice. So I was able to start taking my clothes off again. I get weird. And then Nikki begins to try, with or without cooperation, various means of moderating and staying free from anger. I'll start calling people. I called one guy. He started not telling me what I wanted to hear, started a fight with him. I mean, it got weird the other day. And then I'm beginning to lose friends. In that moment, let me just mic drop it again. Fuck the world. Fuck everybody. This is 2 days ago. I mean, this is a daily reprieve. You know, I'm beginning to get crazy. My business, how about my freedom? My freedom suffers. My mom starts to suffer because then I start to get angry that she even let them in the house. How could this happen? How is this going on? I get mad at my government again. How could they issue an illegal permit on my home? And then I get worried what's going to happen to my investment. Don't you know I'm breaking intergenerational curses by leaving my kids a home? Like I have a whole story with it. I get addicted to the story. And then I become aware that I cannot think like other people. I start to go, Nikki, you're getting into old behaviors. You cannot smash the idea. Page 30. You don't get to be angry. These people are you. You're just angry at yourself. Find the God in them. And then I start this talk and this da 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 da. Sometimes, Nikki, thinks. You guys, I take people through the book. When you see DR, put a TH because it centers in my mind. I think in the morning, and throughout the day, I start obsessing. I start getting these plans and designs. And now, in my hot tub this morning, I've got a solution. I'm just going to find a contractor to come over and attach the fence and pay the money and call it a day, and not make a big deal out of it. I'm going to the properly appointed authority. I know what to do. You see what I mean? And I'm remorseful that I got all weird. I am remorseful. Now it's like, oh, Nikki, it's funny you're like 52 getting all weird out in your yard naked. That's not funny. I'm remorseful about my acting out, and I want to stop doing that. Like, why do I think it's okay to act like a 2-year-old? Right? And then here it is. I begin to think, page 30. It's going to be different this time. It's going to be different this time. I can do it different this time. I'm gonna act different. I can see the whole play out different. I'm doing the scenario in my head, what it's going to look like, and then I pursue it to the gates of insanity, death. Not now. I know that's not an option for me because I have a new belief system, but I am in danger. Al-Anon's page 111. We're going to read it actually in a couple pages. I can't be angry. See, I'm in danger. Anger. Take the D away. Danger. Anger. I'm a real addict. I'm a real alcoholic. I suffer the real family disease of alcoholism. I want to stop. And I love what David said, page 12. It says, if you want it enough. See, I had needed and wanted God. And I want and need God enough. So I can't act like this. This is a daily reprieve, and I'm grateful to be at this because my past, this story is going to help somebody. Women throwing your husband's clothes and lighting them on fire out the window. Okay, we all do weird things. We can't do that anymore. This is serious stuff, or I'm not going to make it. That's it.
Thank you, Nikki. Thank you, David. All right, I got a couple of quick questions for each of you. David, question I have, I love how you turned that last phrase, he wants to want to stop, into a prayer. And I know there's lots of phrases like that in the big book that we can just turn into a prayer. Talk to me about this one and maybe another phrase from the big book that doesn't necessarily explicitly call itself a prayer, but has become a prayer for you and for those that you work with. You're on mute, David.
Yeah, let me get unmuted here. Thank you for that question, Justin. It's there's so many places in the book that I do this nowadays. It's unbelievable. In fact, I chaired a meeting just the other day where I did that, and it really lit a lot of people up. Because if I'm not doing that, then I'm trying to want to stop on my own power. And how's that worked for me up until this point? Not very damn good. So. It's wow. I don't know. It's just an awesome thing. So one of the other places in the book, which is one of many, I have many, but page 18 and 19. On page 18, I do what's a short inventory with the guys that I work with now. That whole paragraph right there that talks about untreated alcoholism and illness of this sort. We've come to believe it an illness. And I just have them to bullet point some of these things and write them out. If a person has cancer, all are sorry for him. Bullet point that for me. Let me see what that looks like. But at the bottom of page 19, to answer your question, it says, the last couple of sentences, most of us sense that a real tolerance of other people's shortcomings and viewpoints and a respect for their opinion or attitudes, which makes us more useful for others. Top of 20, our very lives as ex-problem drinkers depend upon our constant thought of others and how we may help meet their needs. Well, that becomes a prayer for me now. So, God, thank you, bottom of 19, today, that I have a real tolerance for other people's shortcomings. Where I fall short in this area, show me a nightly review so that I can correct that. Thank you that I have a tolerance now, a better tolerance for their shortcomings and viewpoints. And thank you, God, that I have a better respect for their opinion and their attitudes. And thank you that this has made me more useful for others. I realize now my very lives as an ex-problem drinker, acting out whatever it does, God, it depends upon my constant thought of others and of you. And I also realize this is what will help me to meet their needs. So, and it says right there, you may have already asked yourself why it is that all of us become so very ill from drinking. Turn that into a question. Ask God, why is it that I've become so very ill from acting out, from lusting, from overeating, from drinking, from drugging? Doubtless you're curious to discover how and why. God, show me how and why. The whole book really lately has become a set of prayers for me, and I've been taking people through it in that way, breaking down a lot of the scriptures as we go through, provided they're Christian. I don't push that on people who aren't, but I found a way to use the big book to do it in that way, and that's just what God has led me to do, and it's just been a very, very powerful resource for me. So hope that answers the question. Good to be here.
Yeah, thank you, David, and I really appreciate that. The turning these phrases into prayers has been really powerful for me also. All right, Nikki, I got a question for you. I mean, you just shared that, well, the path, the daily reprieve is not perfect. It can be a really rocky road. Talk to us about why it's important to, one, recognize that in ourselves, we are not saints. We're not going to be suddenly perfect. And maybe in those loved ones who are addicts in our lives, or loved ones who are in odds in our lives, that it's not going to be perfect. The road is a little bit rocky. Why is it important to recognize this?
Well, thank you so much. And David, thank you. I'm going to be, David doesn't know he's my sponsor. Do you see how I have to do that prayer now for the rest of my life to my neighbors? So thank you. I'm going to do that. But why is it important? Because we see people. And I had someone in my fellowship like that. She was one of my partners, and one of my ride or dies, and everything's perfect, and I'm perfect, and it's a lie. It's a lie from the pit of hell. It says we are not saints. Spiritual progress. Full stop. And I think that's why a lot of people do like me. Remember, I have my Monday morning noodle it out with Nikki meeting where I sit in my bedroom with my bathrobe on for now, how long? 3 years, I think, or four since COVID. And I show up no matter what, no matter where I'm at in the country, no matter how I'm feeling. I've shown up on that meeting, and you guys have shown up for recording when Stefano and I, that's Mr. Luxembourg, and I have been on the outs, when I have had no rights, when I've had not a penny to my name after losing my job in COVID. And then here I am, and you guys know why we have to record a lot of episodes in this little period, because I'm going to the Caribbean for 3 weeks with this man. See, I keep chopping the wood and carrying the water. I believe my big book. It says there will be certain trials and low spots. I'm in a huge legal battle with my neighbors, and that's a low spot, and it's a reoccurring. So I show people like this. I've done the work for the resentment. I've done all of this around the neighbors, and then a new thing pops up about it, and I've got to keep doing the work. And that happened a few days ago, but today, after work, after listening to things and talking and even being on this podcast, perhaps the people who wrong me are spiritually sick. It's my job to demonstrate these principles. When trouble comes, like my neighbors call the bylaw officer on me, it's an opportunity to demonstrate, practice the principles. Here it is too. Nikki, you're doing weird things. You're talking on your podcast with your guys that you're you're stripping naked, well, half naked, because you can't be fully. And you're laughing about it. Why? Because we're not, number one, we're not a glum lot, but I really know that my past is my greatest asset. So when I say that, and one of my grand sponsees or my sponsees go, oh, I do that too. You understand, because there's someone out there who doesn't know how to deal with life and just reverts back to child mode because you've just been in this disease, and you're like, wow, but now I have a course correction. I have a book and instruction. So it's very important to answer your question that people see me a hot mess, and that they turn around the next week and see me showing up, suiting up, that even I'm not going to go hide out and be in shame, even if you relapse. Go up and pick up that newcomer chip. Do not hide out. Show people what God can do. Love you guys.
Thank you, Nikki. All right, quick takeaways from this. My quick takeaway is a phrase that came to my mind as we were talking here that my wife has said to me a million times. It's the need to be right that fuels the fight. If I feel like I have to be right in the process, it's just gonna cause all sorts of issues in my life. And I got to be aware of that in my own life. All right, Nikki, what's a takeaway for you? And then David, how about you after Nikki?
Okay, I got to take that one because this is hard. It's like the teacher is the student is the teacher. Because I'm like, relinquish the need to be right. That's how you become more tolerant of your neighbors. No, you don't know. It's the Chinese farmer story. I just don't know. Like, is this good that's happened? Is it bad? I don't know. This could be the greatest blessing of my life, this nightmare. So I'm just excited. It's Forrest Gump. Life is like a box of chocolate, and I just love you guys. Thank you for that, because I have to relinquish my need to be right, and I need to turn everything into a prayer. That's my takeaway.
Thanks, Nikki. David.
Yeah, I think that Let's make sure. Am I off of mute? I don't know if I am or not. Yeah, I am. Okay. Sorry about that, guys.
No.
It's been a tough morning for me here. So, yeah, I think that last part that we read, the want to stop, turning that into a prayer. One of the things I say all the time is God doesn't punish, He teaches. And sometimes those assignments are increasingly difficult. And so, do I need a lesson or do I need a blessing? I'm not sure yet. If I need another lesson, one is sure to come. But, if I start receiving the blessings of freedom and peace, then, I pretty well work through whatever that is. So, yeah, I want to stop, turn it into a prayer, ask God to help. He will. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much, David. Thank you so much, Nikki. Thank you, everybody out there. If you want a blessing, you want a lesson, either way, put into practice the things we've talked about here. Join us in the fellowship of the Spirit and come trudge this adventurous and amazing road of happy destiny with us. Work it. You are worth it.